There we go. A little more brightness. Okay, I'm a couple minutes late coming on. I'm sorry for those that may have been on the other post. I'm still trying to figure out how to smoothly use YouTube with the scheduled lives. I think I figured it out after I started this new live stream. I needed to go back to the the previous um, scheduled thing and edit it and then go live. But I didn't know that, so I do now. Well, hello and welcome. Uh, so I felt like this week I am just going to kind of go with the flow with what's coming through with spirit before I pull the cards for the week and just see how these things correlate. And I needed to do a little bit of reflection because last week was quite something, especially with all the cards that we had with the health and healing to get to our joy, needing to name a thing, and and then not letting our past hold us back. So when we open ourselves up with the intentions to clear what we need to clear and ask to be shown what we need to see or be aware of in order to make that clearing, it's very important. Be careful what you ask for because you will get it. But when you're ready to face some things and allow yourself, give yourself permission to do what you feel is right for you. That was one of the biggest messages that came through last week, but it's very relevant for this week too, because continuing on from the messages from last week and the doors of opportunity that have opened in your life. I know for me, I've been doing a lot of clearing work. A lot of things have been becoming very clear within me as to what I've been suppressing on a very subconscious level. So I'm like literally, as a metaphor, bringing up that I'm bringing up the submerged part of the iceberg, if you will, because I've asked. I don't want to carry forward with me anything more or anything within me that is limiting me, that is holding me back or causing disharmony and disease within my body. And of course, that is coming up to the surface like a mofo. But instead of judging it as bad and hard, I'm doing a very good job with the help of watching Wayne Dyer's seminars that Spirit has led me to last week as well. Very good for the pep talk to remind yourself that you can take the reins of your life when you decide to stop blaming, putting everything, your power outside of yourself and come home to you. Give yourself permission to do what you feel is right for you, because we're moving into a lot more expansion this week, moving into this third week of January. I can't believe we're already here. There's so much expansion happening and so many shifts happening. And on a collective level, I've been noticing with my clients and with a lot of in the spirit, posts in the spiritual communities that I follow with other mentors and guides and spiritual teachers, colleagues that are all over the world experiencing the same thing, just on their own personal level. So the experiences are unique to the individual. Those are going to be different, but the energy behind it all is actually the same. And what's happening now, in order for this expansion to happen, because we can't expand and let in anything new if we haven't cleared out and made room for that, right? So there's a collective purging taking place, a collective healing, a collective clearing within the human consciousness that is allowing things to come up that has been suppressed. So I know a lot of you, when you get drawn to this video, you're watching it, will probably resonate with this. Some may not, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of what I've noticed that have come up for me and my clients, and what I've been noticing in the spiritual community all around the world, is there's a collective purging of anger, like deep repressed anger, which is, for me, I found in connection to resentment due to rejection and betrayals. Right? But because we were taught at very young ages that, we can't be angry and show that anger because that's a bad expression of yourself. And to cry was weak and all that stuff. I just want to let everybody know Spirit's been making it very clear within myself through my heart that this was all misinformation passed down blindly through the generations. And not laying blame anymore, releasing judgment and attachment to the old stories so we can write a new story is what's going to free us from the past and move forward. So again, give yourself permission to do what you feel is right for you and release your attachment and judgments that other people need to validate you. Once you get that validation within yourself and you start having that right relationship with self, the validation comes out of nowhere and keeps coming because you're not looking for it anymore and you don't need it. And as a human, we do like it. But when we stop expecting it from other people because we're now giving to ourselves what it is that we were seeking outside of ourselves, because we now know it's inside, then we release ourselves to all the attachments that are outside of ourselves. And it helps to lead for a more life in balance, better health, and greater flow, right? And it's not all going to be easy, but this is why we have tools to put in practice when things, do go a little bit awry. So Spirit did want me to touch base on ego because this thing has come up a lot lately. And I've noticed some posts in my community where people are talking about the ego and attaching this fixation of negativity towards it. And I myself was there for the longest time. I don't think I really started to embrace the ego aspect of myself as with acceptance. I didn't start doing that until really I'm putting it into more practice in the last few months. So near the end of last year, I think it might have been October, November, where this ego thing was really coming up for me to understand for myself on a much deeper level. So I met myself. I met myself in my heart space. So using my soul to meet my ego face to face. And I just decided, I'm not going to judge you as bad anymore. I want to understand you better. So please tell me why. Why does it feel so hard to be able to move forward sometimes? And the answer I got was so flippin' profound. It said, I am programmed to keep you safe and alive. I do my job. And it's all I know. That's my program. That aspect of myself operates there. So anytime this sent me, anytime we're moving into unknown and uncharted territories, I'm going to freak the fuck out. Because I don't know it. Therefore, I can't navigate it. Therefore, I can't keep you safe. And then in this last week, of course, these things, and I'm not judging myself for it anymore. I have a greater understanding of it. So I'm accepting of it and realizing that it's been doing its job. It's kept me alive. I may have fallen into the trap of the fear of the unknown and not moved forward because I was in a place of not really at that level of confidence on a much deeper level within myself, which is something we're all currently working on, no matter where you are on your life's journey, whether it's spiritual or not. We're all always evolving and expanding. And if you're choosing to resist that, that's still part of your journey for whatever it is, the lessons you need to learn. But life definitely happens for us, not to us. And when you can shift your perspective from one to the other, you change your life and your experiences from a more, challenging time, if you will, and not really accepting what is, and being okay with what's going on, to a place of, all right, you know, being able to detach from it and taking things personally, and start trusting, because the ego, with the program of the human aspect, which is purely physical, that ego aspect is our human part of our existence, and it just operates on the third dimensional level. So there's no faith, there's no trust. It's the physical reality and what it thinks it knows, right? And it is open for a lot of mistakes and misinterpretations because of the built-in program. We're not here to override that, or we can override that, if you will, but we have to bring in our higher power. We got to get out of that mind and into the heart and understand ourselves on a much deeper level, and start accepting what is, instead of judging it as this or that, because we live in a world, in a construct of polarity, and we operate within the dualities of the parameters. And what we believe we know to be true, the universe gives us experiences that will fortify that, improve that to us, even if it's not the truth. So that's what is called the Maya, the illusion of what we're operating and experiencing here on this plane. But if you're not open to see things that way, then you won't. And until you do, it can be very challenging, and you may be giving your power away, not realizing that there is so much more. So I was guided to watch Wayne Dyer's videos, a compilation, actually, a particular one, 3 hours worth. And it was wonderful because it was all the information that I used to know and maybe forgot to apply in certain situations. So it was a great reminder for me. And the first statement right off the bat was, be open to everything, but attached to nothing. Don't take what other people do and say personally, because they're all coming from their own places within their lives that don't really have anything to do with you. They have everything to do with themselves, right? So you can give yourself permission to detach from everyone and everything. That doesn't mean you're going to ignore them and just go into hiding. I'm not meaning it like that. But you can detach from taking what other people say and do as a personal attack on you. And if you are being triggered like that, I invite you to meet yourself in your heart and ask you why, when you get triggered or squeezed, that this anger comes out. Because another analogy that Wayne Dyer said, and I thought it was pretty profound and powerful too, is of the orange. When you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice out of it. Doesn't matter who squeezes it or how it gets squeezed, it will always just be orange juice. So put that metaphor on you. When we get squeezed or triggered, what comes out is what we have inside. And usually when we're triggered, we end up being really angry. We react. There's a lot of emotion, because what's coming out is what we're holding on to. And that's the gift in this situation. It has nothing to do with what the situation brought all this up out. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's about what you are harboring inside that you're not aware of. And you were just given an opportunity for that to come out. And your body took that opportunity to come out because you're in that reactive mode. So I invite you to start meeting yourself where you are without judgment, and be open to new possibilities and the truth that emotions, no matter what they are, is energy in motion. And that our emotions is a way for ourselves on a spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical level to know who we are. It's a way of communication with ourselves. But if we ignore it and suppress it because these people said, oh, crying makes you weak, don't do it in public, anger is a bad thing, oh, delete and uncreate and destroy all of that. Those bought and sold beliefs keep us stuck and limited, which ends up creating our realities within those limitations. So if you're wondering why you might be stuck and you're resonating with the words being shared right now, please know that's it. And you can discover yourself by going in. But if you feel you need outside help, please reach out. Services I can also help provide. If you feel drawn to me as a spiritual guide, or I take no offense if I'm not your person, because I know my energy is not for everybody, and that's okay now. I'm really okay with that now. I understand it on a much deeper level. And I am so grateful for the gifts that were given to me within my experiences last year that helped me get to this place of greater understanding within myself. So for all the hard lessons that I have perceived as hard and challenging last year, I am super grateful to every person involved in that. And those who may watch this video in the future, I do believe the people involved will be watching this, so please know. I forgive everything that I have perceived as wrong, hurtful, or bad with others and with myself. And I give myself permission to do what feels right for me and be okay with that. Wonderful. Was there anything else? Let me just see. Spirit just wants to remind, as I stated in the beginning there, about expansion. And in order for us to bring in those manifested desires and hopes and dreams and wishes, we have to make room for it. If we're already filled up with stuff of the past that we have not processed, and I promise you it's easier than your ego and your mind can fathom. It really is. You just got to find the tools and what works for you and start playing with the idea that the possibilities for us as humans here are absolutely endless. Right? Be open to everything and attached to nothing. Our attachments to things. Put blinders up and we'll miss the magic happening all around us in opportunities that would get us to where we're going with greater ease and a lot more fun, less resistance. When the blinders come up, we got all kinds of resistance, but usually those blinders are telling us because we're holding on to something that's limiting us. So that's a block. And it is very easy to clear it. Just got to reprogram the thoughts that we have. Oh, I got this other thing that reminds me here because Spirit was like, oh, write this down. The mind, right? The mind that we have is not your brain. So this is really good for skeptics. The air you breathe, you can't see it, but you know it's there. And scientists proved it, right? And it keeps us alive. So you have no doubt there's air and you breathe and this is what keeps us alive, right? But the thoughts that we have, there's no physical thing that produces thoughts. It comes from the ethers because it's energy, it's consciousness. And that's connected to the signature of the energy of the soul, which is inside. We just use the brain to interpret the energy and the signals coming through, and based on what we think we remember and know, we can articulate and express. That's all part of this wonderful, magical experience as a physical being on this planet. But our energy, it's infinite. The core of who we are is infinite. The human experience is finite. It does not go on. Like as one life is, this is your one life, but you can come back in and have another life, but you're going to be a different aspect, a different person, right? Having a slightly different experience. But everything's energy. And if we're holding on to the things of the past and focused on that is what we're going to continue to create. We as humans are extremely powerful, creative, creators of our realities, of our worlds. And when we realize that the power of God, the power of all that is, the power of Great Spirit itself, whatever you want to call the unnameable one, right? Humans just give things names so we can try to understand it. But the unnameable one, where we came from, where we're going to go back to, right? What we have always been connected to, but with this physical reality, there is the illusion that we're separate from it all. And the distractions and chaos that are on this planet make it challenging to get into alignment with that truth of who you are and stay there. It's designed to do that so that we can have the experience of rebirthing ourselves, from learn, to evolve. With chaos, we can create great changes, right? And it's something on this planet that has come into my awareness, and I'm now coming to accept that we're not here to move into this blissful only place where every single person is going to get along and agree with each other all the time. That's not what this place is for. We might have a better way of communicating with each other, a more evolved way, but there's always going to be conflict, right? It may not be, I'm hoping, it wouldn't be as bad as it is now, right? But there's growth in the conflict. And if we're resisting what is, we're missing the whole point. Yeah, we did come here to evolve, to remember who we are. Ooh, remember. That was another one. Remember is not just like a memory thing. It's a remembering of who you are. So the member, as a member of humanity, right? As a member of the cosmos, I'm remembering while I'm here, which is amazing. And with each thing I get rid of that was only serving to hold me back and make my life difficult, when I work through it and process the emotions and honor myself without judgment, full acceptance, and a whole lot of self-love, that clearing takes place. The space is now open, and in comes the opportunities, which are being proven to me without expectation, because I have faith in that and I've seen it work on this path. I've applied it to myself, and with how things are currently, it's still working that way. So the mind is where the ego usually resides, right? So it questions, and it doubts. There's no faith. And I heard Wayne Dyer say that ego is like an acronym where you edge God out, right? There's no faith when we're in a situation where we're having to choose or we're having to move and we don't know where we're going or how it's going to work out. And then we start freaking out. We start spinning, right? Because the mind's just like, well, what if this? What if this? And we are such amazing and brilliant geniuses with creative ideas that are just like, wow. But we, with the human conditioning, we've been programmed for the worst case scenario, because that's part of the ego's program, to keep you safe in what it already knows. It's still doing its job. It's just a matter of us to wait a second, open up the heart and go, is there actual danger with this uncharted territory of a path I'm about to take? And I hear my spirit said, no, there's no danger. I take a sigh of relief because I'm in my heart. And then I just say to the ego, hey, check this out. Don't worry. We've been here before. I remember. And I never fell. I was floating. When I jumped off that proverbial cliff the first time, I was floating. And then the second time I jumped off the next proverbial cliff, I realized I'm still floating. And then as I'm jumping off the third proverbial cliff, coming up at me now, I realize, wow, floating. If I'm floating, I must have wings if I'm not actually falling, right? Metaphoric. So instead of just floating, I must be flying. I just didn't start moving yet. I'm just hovering in this space. Now that I know that I'm actually flying, whew, here we glow. We're really going to start to, take off. And with that analogy and understanding from the heart, things are moving, and they're moving fast, and it's not knocking me off my center. I'm actually super freaking excited about the changes coming. So the mind is where the ego it resides, if you will. Edge God out. The other acronym I heard Wayne Dyer say was earth, ground only, right? So physical 3D only. It cannot see, it doesn't have that faith and trust, but the energy of us, of who we are, the soul from the heart. The soul knows and it trusts. Absolutely. Without a doubt. It doesn't need evidence. It just knows. And the heart is where we tap into the soul or the spirit of who we are. This is my understanding, and I know other people have different perceptions of it, and there's no right or wrong with this. It just is, right? But the heart, it balances, and it will discern properly. It'll take into consideration what the ego and the mind is trying to tell the body, right? And then be in communication with the soul, so we know for sure, well, wait a second, there's no actual perceived danger. The ego is just jumping to that conclusion because that's the program. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. Thank you, ego, for doing your job. It's now helping me to take a moment and discern a little bit deeper and figure this out. So the heart will let you know, and it will lead you in the right direction every single time. When we resist that and there's no trust and we follow that ego only all the time, we miss our opportunities and we wonder why things aren't shifting, why they're not changing. It's the ego is very much in that same program Do the same things, resist change. Change is bad, right? That's the program, and it's not. The only constant thing in this life is change. So why are we programmed to resist that? I think it's because we're on a journey of discovery, and this part helps us discover more once we get out of our own way of judging it as a bad thing. Okay, the Ascended Masters are the only deck that I am working with today for the upcoming 7-day forecast, which is starting for today, January 16th, and good all the way through January 22nd, which is Sunday of 2023. Okay. So I pulled 3 cards, and then at the bottom of the deck, this is the general overall energy. And I want to say Spirit saying it's a gift from Spirit. Okay. For us this week. And there's a peace offering, right? This is White Buffalo Calf Woman. And whenever I see this card, I hear prophecy fulfillment. I hear, if you've felt like you've been here on a karmic wheel, please know that you fulfilled whatever it is to bring things back into balance, that it's been done. Let go. Let go. They're saying let go of focusing on other people and what you think they should be doing. It's not up to you or me to control how somebody else thinks and says, even if you know for a fact what they're thinking, saying, and doing to themselves and teaching their children is wrong. It's not for you. You're not their God. You're your own God. And you lead by example. Everybody has free will to choose for themselves, regardless of the pressure being put on you. And when we learn to stand strong in our own power, we trust the answers when we question for ourselves, is this right for me? And let go of the judgments of others towards me, because that's not my business. Doesn't matter. It's not my problem. So we've been given this gift of peace, this blanket of energy that feels very tranquil. But you literally have to unplug from where you've put in your energy into other people's business and things that don't belong to you. You belong to you, and that's it. So first message is Pallas Athena. Talk to the hand, because the face ain't listening. Detach from drama. Remember, what you focus on and pay attention to is what you create in your life. If you don't want drama, don't plug into it. Don't plug into it by watching shows of drama on a regular basis unless you can watch them in neutrality, where you're detached from an emotional charge with it. If you get all caught up in it and you're like, guess what your energy is sending out to the universe? You're sitting in that energy of drama. The universe you magnetize it to you. And I cannot wait for the new schools that are going to be built with these teachings to the children at very young ages so that they can stop comparing and being in competition with everyone else and get to know who they are and be okay with that. And teenagers won't be going through such a midlife crisis at that age because they will have been primed properly without passed on trauma and dramas that were just subconsciously operating in the background. It's time to take the reins, own what's ours, and let the rest go. It really is that simple. So when we detach from the drama, right? Not your circus, not your monkeys. Let it go. Remember, suffering is a choice. And if you choose to get caught up in other people's stuff, you're choosing for yourself to go through the suffering that comes with that. Plain and simple. If you don't want it, don't do it. Focusing on yourself and being in right relationship with self, it takes work, dedication, and devotion. It's not easy. It's not always roses and butterflies, but I can guarantee you it is worth it for what you discover within yourself. The light, the limitlessness, the beauty, and the magic that this life has to offer. It's only found through here when you discover the truth of who you are and start making decisions for yourself. This brings us into balance, being able to balance the career and the home life. So this message is for some people that wherever in your life you are out of balance, you will know where that is upon reflection. But balance isn't just a scale of two different sides. This balance of career and home life is balance of body, mind, and soul. I've talked about this before, those that know me. The body, mind, and soul is what we are, all of it. But if we're not managing all three aspects, but there's a fourth aspect, and that is our emotions, which is the energy in motion, which is connected to all these three pillars. Emotions is actually a fourth pillar because it's connected to all these three. It's still its own. So 4 pillars make a solid foundation, right? We have to be honoring our emotions and working through them in beautiful, positive ways. Anger is a good one. Get in right relationship with your anger and know that your body is trying to tell you that a boundary is being crossed here. And you may need to learn how to speak up, but not in you want to speak up in a way where you are owning yourself in your space. You have every right to do that, right? But we don't want to project that anger onto somebody in a real aggressive way. You want to have strength and be strong, but not aggressive. And when people, after you warn them, well, then you're going to do what you need to do to keep yourself alive, which is totally fine. You've just honored yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Release the judgments. So I highly recommend those that have not read The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Please get that copy or series, if you will, because there's the 4 Agreements, the 5th Agreement, and something about love, the mastery of love, I believe. Yes, those 3 books are absolutely amazing and game changers for how you can change from the inside out, right? And reprogram yourself, if you will, to come online with the soul. So balancing isn't just your home life and your career, right? It is balancing, making sure that, because we live in a world where we're making money to be able to pay for things. Nothing wrong with that either. Money is just an exchange. So delete and uncreate all those limiting beliefs about what money means to you. And if you have a negative relationship to it, that might be why it's so scarce. get in right relationship with the truth of what money actually is, right? Because guns aren't bad, right? It depends who's wielding it and the intentions behind that, of whether it's being used for good or not so good, right? But the thing itself is just a tool. It's a physical manifestation of a tool that was needed for something that could be very beneficial. But in the hands of someone that's more in alignment to cause harm than good, of course, it can be used as a weapon of destruction. Right? Just some things to think about. But our balance is a reminder whenever I see this card, because most of us are forgetting. We're not here to just do things all the time. We're here to be. So how often during each day do you give yourself permission to play and do the things that bring your heart joy, that are healthy for you? Are you incorporating that in your daily life? If not, well, that's what this might be telling you you're missing, and to bring that in, right? When you release from the things keeping you from being in balance with yourself, it releases that energy you've been attached to, opens up space for this balance to take place. And guess what? Serenity is achieved. No more anxieties, no more overwhelm, because you're not plugged into the chaos. You've decided you're worthy of your own self-love, and to ignite the light within, just like Buddha here, and become sovereign within your own being. So you can sit and just be. And the contentment and the serenity that comes from being able to meditate and being in this state is what every single one of us is looking for. I believe. I could be wrong on that, and that's absolutely fine. But I would venture a very safe guess that the majority of humans are trying to get to this state of contentment within themselves, realizing everything is unfolding exactly as it should, because the master plan of the great mystery knows it all. And we've signed up for all kinds of things, and these things are happening. And it looks messy. It can be messy. It could be super challenging, especially if we're not willing to be open to new possibilities. There were so many things I was wrong about. But when I discovered that I had bought and sold an idea about something and it wasn't serving me any good, and I might have been misinforming other people, oh, you better believe I'm going to humble myself right away. I'm going to do the work to clear that. And then I'm going to pass that knowledge on to those that are drawn to me. So this week, I invite you to make a choice instead of an excuse. And just for this week, just for these next 7 days, one day at a time, allow yourself to be present, as fully present as you possibly can be in each day and for every moment throughout that day. And set the intention that you are not going to plug in to other people's stuff, so that you can concentrate on bringing more balance into your own life. Which Spirit just showed me opens up these huge doors. Like there's such big, majestic doors that open up with all this light and abundance to everything, which is available to every single one of us once we energetically align with the energy. They open, they become available to us. So if this is what you've been seeking, I definitely invite you to apply the messages of guidance that have been given here today, no matter when you're watching this video, because Spirit has no limits or boundaries and does not operate on linear time like we do. But they do their best when we're asking for specific intentions for guidance as far as dates. They do their best. But again, be open to everything, attached to nothing. So if you're guided to this video and the messages being received and shared at a different time, anytime, a different year even, please know there's a reason you're here. Spirit led you here for a very good reason. So allow yourself to be open to receive whatever it is. And if you are open to receive, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. But I choose to see that in a good way. Because if you're working on clearing things, what makes you uncomfortable is exactly what's come up for you that you need to dive into. Wonderful. So this week feels like it's going to be pretty peaceful, providing we don't get caught up in what isn't ours to be navigating in the first place. Give yourself permission to do what you feel is right for you, not what you feel is right for others. Okay, really important for you to understand the difference there. So I know a lot of people that are pushing themselves so hard to wake people up, not realizing you will wake them up, but you don't have to force it. You're not supposed to force it. None of us like to be told what to do. So realize that you're trying to tell people what to do, and that's not your job. Tell yourself what you need to do and just do it. You lead by example. That's the best way we can help people. Not by shoving shit down their throat or forcing them with all kinds of ultimatums to fit in your box of your reality. That's coming from a place that's not balanced within. And it can be shifted. Well, usually for these 1-hour sessions, if people were on with me during a live, what I would do is offer some free personalized readings. And I would invite you to type in a question. Ask a question. It can be personal, or you can ask a question about something that you're wondering for the collective energies, right? It doesn't matter. It's okay. So because I had an issue with the video and not actually going live on the scheduled post that I did, because I wasn't sure how to get that up and running. I've figured it out now, but I started a new one. I think that's why people hadn't come yet. So please, whenever you're watching this video, as long as it's during the week of January 16th through the 22nd of 2023. So I'll be watching for the comments that come in there. And I'm going to let people know, come to this video. If you want a free reading, then comment on the video, because I get alerted. When I get alerted of your comment, of your question, I will answer you. Okay, I'll do my best to reply. If you don't want Actually, no, yes. I'm going to answer all the questions because this is an open platform. And I feel what one person is asking, somebody else that comes to watch and read the comments, um, it will be relevant to them for the content they're seeking as well. So I think we'll just keep it an open public platform. So please feel free to type in any question of inquiry that you would like Spirit to answer. And I will most likely use the Ascended Masters as cards, as well as any channeled message that comes through for you as my gift to you. But you only have during this 7-day forecasted time frame, linear time frame, to get that free reading. And of course, I am always open to receive donations. It is not a requirement for this particular streaming of the 7-day forecasts. There may be other ones in the future where I will ask for donations specifically in order to get readings, but there's a lot of free stuff that ends up coming out. So please know it's always greatly appreciated, but it is not a requirement to receive what is needed. Okay. Well, from my heart to yours, keep shining bright. Invite more self-love into your right relationship with self in order to release all that's no longer serving your highest and greatest good, to allow that light within to shine as beautifully and extravagantly as it was meant to here in this physical form. Your light, when it's ignited, will help light up and ignite thousands of others. You don't even need to try. It just happens. Your energy, like attracts like. Remember that. So you can track the patterns when we have repeating things showing up that we may not like so much. Just trying to tell you where energetically and internally you might still be operating from a place of unprocessed emotion. And it's so easy to allow yourself to just feel through it. This is how we heal, and let it go. I love you all. Namaste. I will see you the next schedule. I'm hoping to be at 9 o'clock next Monday, but please just keep track of the time. Life happened this morning. I could not get on at 9, so I needed to postpone it to 10:30 last minute. It wasn't until last night that I realized, I better change the time because there was something happening here at the home. And life happens. So be open to be flexible, please, and thank you. Okay. Go live life. I will see you guys next week.